Pretty surreal. I'm in London, speaking into a microphone, sharing my story and looking out at all of you. And I just want to say how grateful I am that you've taken the time to show up and listen today. You didn't have to be here today, but you've showed up because you care about children, about education and about doing better. And so before I say anything else, I just wanted to say thank you. My name is Charlotte, I'm 16 years old, and I am a disabled young person, a child, and an advocate. Not because I chose this path, but because the system left me with no other option. I've travelled here today from Plymouth, and while that might feel far away from here, the decisions made in this city reach every corner of the country. They reach families, they reach classrooms, and they reach children like me. Some of you may recognise me from social media, where I speak about children's well-being, education and disability rights. But today, I'm not here as a social media page, I'm here as lived experience. And lived experience is messy. It doesn't fit neatly into policies or paragraphs or government language. Lived experience is fear. It's exhaustion. It's learning far too young that the places meant to keep you safe don't always do that. Personally, I grew up being told that everything being done for me was for my own good. The phrase, "for your own good," sounds caring, but when you're a disabled young child, it can become a warning. Because too often, it means decisions are being made about you, without you being present. It means your distress is explained away. It means your voice is seen as inconvenient. And I want to be very clear about this. Disabled children are not unsafe because of who we are. We are unsafe when systems refuse to adapt to us. I wasn't a problem child. I wasn't difficult. I wasn't failing. I was trying to survive environments that were never built with me in mind. And instead of being listened to, I was monitored. Instead of being supported, I was scrutinised. Instead of being believed, I was managed. This is the context in which I am reading this bill. Because when you have lived through that, you learn to hear what's not being said. This bill is being described as a way to improve children's well-being. But well-being is not something you can enforce. You cannot legislate safety without trust. You cannot mandate care without listening. And you cannot protect children by taking power away from the very ones who are already unheard. What worries me most about this bill is not just about what this bill includes, but what it normalises. It is called the Children's Well-Being and Schools Bill, and yet children were not meaningfully consulted on it. That matters, because children are not passive subjects of policy. We are active participants in our own lives. Our views and opinions matter when decisions are made about education. They matter when decisions are made about our data and our privacy. They matter when decisions are made that affect our families and our futures. And this bill impacts all of those things. To write a bill with children's well-being in the title without properly listening to children, especially disabled children, is not just ironic. It is wrong. We all agree that safeguarding matters. We all want children to be safe. But protection and support are not the same as surveillance and restriction. Support listens, protection adapts. Safeguarding works with children, not on them. When the balance tips too far forward, monitoring control, you don't create safer children. You create quieter ones. Children who learn to hide their distress. Children who stop trusting adults. Children who disappear from the system emotionally, even if they are physically present. This bill has got that balance wrong, and the children who will feel that first are the ones who already struggle to be heard. It normalises the idea that adults always knows best. That system should have more authority. That children's behaviour matters more than children's feelings. That compliance is a sign of well-being. But let me tell you something from experience. Some of the most distressed children I know were also the quietest ones, the ones who didn't disrupt, the ones who followed rules whilst falling apart inside. And some of the most challenging children I know were just desperate to be understood. This bill risks giving even more power to systems that already struggle to tell the difference. It risks widening the gap between children who are easy to support and children who need flexibility, patience and humanity. Children like me. At the Fight for Ordinary rally, I spoke about how ordinary things, feeling safe at school, being listened to, and being believed should not be privileges for disabled children. Today I'm standing here because those things are still not guaranteed. And instead of fixing what's broken, this bill risks reinforcing it. Because here's the truth. The biggest threat to children's well-being is not a lack of control, it's a lack of compassion, it's underfunded support, overstretched staff, and schools being asked to do more with less. It's children being punished through systems that value attendance, grades, and behaviour over actual human well-being. This bill does not exist in a vacuum. It exists in a country where disabled children are already more likely to be excluded, more likely to be restrained, more likely to be misunderstood, more likely to leave education traumatised. So when you say this is for their well-being, you have to prove it. And you cannot prove it without listening to us as children. I want the people who wrote this bill to understand something that is very important. When you design a policy without disabled children in the room, you don't just miss details, you miss reality. You miss how it feels to be a child whose body doesn't cooperate, to be a child whose brain processes the world differently, to be a child who is punished for needs they didn't choose. You miss the fear of being labelled, the fear of being watched, the fear that asking for help will make things worse. That fear stays with you. It follows you into adulthood, it shapes how you see authority, it shapes whether you trust systems at all. I am 16 years old, and I have spent too much of my life fighting systems that were meant to hold me up. I should not have to become this strong just to survive education, and neither should any child who comes after me. This rally is not about being anti-school, it is not about being anti-teacher, it is not about resisting support, it is about saying that children's well-being cannot be built on control, silence and fear. It is about saying that disabled children deserve dignity, autonomy and safety, all at the same time. And it is about drawing a line that says enough decisions made without us, enough policies written over our lives, enough harm disguised as help. To the adults in power who may hear this, if your bill cannot withstand the voices of disabled children, then it is not a strong policy. If it requires our silence to succeed, then it is not about our well-being. And if it moves forward without change, without listening, and without accountability, then you do so knowing you were warned. Because we are not confused, we are not ignorant, and we are not asking for the impossible. We are asking to be treated as human beings. We are asking for systems that adapt instead of punish, for schools that support instead of control, for well-being that means safety, not surveillance. I am not standing here today as an exception. I am standing here as evidence. Evidence of what happens when children are ignored. Evidence of resilience that should never have been required. Evidence that young people understand their own lives far better than policies ever will. And I promise you this, disabled young people are watching. We are speaking, and we are not going anywhere. We are not a policy, we are not a problem, and we are not a risk to be managed. We are children, we are people, we are human beings, and we deserve better. Thank you for listening. Thank you.